Richie Mars. We are here not directly after Saturday night's main event, but somewhat after Saturday night's main event. And we're here to talk about the event from Montreal. Overall, Richie, I feel like it was a successful Saturday night's main event. What say you?
I think from an in-ring perspective, it was probably the strongest since we got that reboot of the Saturday night's main event out of the way. And
As a
from
whole, yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah, as a full, because it's like the last one was the John Cena retirement, and it was a lot of good showcases. But again, I think all the in-ring action got kind of got overshadowed by Cena's retirement, obviously. But this was like a good like in-between show where you're getting some good matches while also getting some story progression. And I thought it did its job successfully because it's a really tough spot being a week before the Royal Rumble, which is hasn't really been that much of a focus on television. So a lot of people are going to look at this show right away and being like, does it really matter? Do we really need to see it? And some of the implications we kind of like realized what was probably going to happen. But overall, I thought it did its job pretty well.
Yeah, you look at it as a whole as probably the biggest profile match in a way, you could say, for some people would be Nakamura versus AJ for one last time. I can see that portion of the crowd being into the idea of that. And that was announced last night, not even 24 hours before tip-off, so to speak, right? So that's just kind of where they were at with there. And then, of course, you get the main event for the number one contender heading into the Royal Rumble. A little predictable, perhaps. We'll get to in that at the end. And then we had the Judgment Day girls versus Rio and Io in a women's tag team match that I believe was a little bit forgotten about in the long run, but very good in their own rights. And then we opened with a non-match, but a beautiful angle. So retrospectively, from the far, I think you're right. It was a pretty successful in-ring portion, but I don't know if it was like the biggest event ever, because if you were to take a highlight, I guess it would be Sami Zayn is your number one contender, but you want to compare that to, Gunther or Cody or whoever retaining the WWE title, or CM Punk or Jade Cargill winning their world title, or John Cena or Goldberg retiring, right? Like, you don't have that flashy light headline.
Yeah.
You do have a solid in-ring show, so to speak. My question for you, Richie, before we get into it, if you were a ticket goer in Montreal for Friday night SmackDown and Saturday night's main event on back-to-back nights, do you feel that you got your money's worth, pending you paid a decent amount for your tickets and maybe perhaps traveled to the frozen tundra of Montreal, Quebec, Canada?
It really depends on what you're looking for. I think AJ and Nakamura would probably be a pretty cool thing to say you were there live for the simple fact, in my opinion, this was probably their most successful WWE match that they've ever had together. And it's about 8 years later after their initial feud, which is pretty incredible to say. And for again, if you paid for a decent price, I could see like yesterday SmackDown kind of had its peaks and valleys as the 3-hour show structure usually does. I think it's like if I only went to Saturday night's main event, I think I would have gotten my money's worth, with SmackDown being the extra tag on. And it's like I wouldn't like be mad at it, but again, SmackDown was like it's cursed because it's a go home show for a go home show to the Royal Rumble. So you're getting like two go there, yeah. So you're getting that go home show squared. So it's like it felt like SmackDown. Yeah, there are things happening, but again, we're kind of like setting up for Saturday night's main event. And then you have the next week's SmackDown, which is going to be the go home show to the Rumble. And usually for me, go home shows are usually hit or miss, because it's either, all right, we got all the matches, let's just go on to the pay-per-view, or it's like they're end with like a hot angle where it's like, all right, here we go. This is like what's going to get us hyped. And again, for Saturday night's main event show that you kind of thought like what was going to happen happened. It's like there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, it was kind of SmackDown was kind of whatever. But all right, we open tonight, Saturday night's main event, that is with Io Sky. I guess we did open up with Io Sky, but we did not, match-wise, we did not. We opened up with a hot angle. Wikipedia did confuse me right there when I was like, Io Sky did not open this match when I went to read the results. But we opened up with the first 25 minutes or so with Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes without a bell ringing, just having this Roddy Piper, Orndorff like 1985 Haas chaotic hot crowd seeking brawl. Like, it was phenomenal, Richie. We did not get any bell to bell action. It was not an official match, but the heat was phenomenal. They went up through the crowd, through the concourse. They went around the building in the back. They ended back in the crowd. They kept harping that the bell has not rang. And then we finally get Drew McIntyre to kind of sweep their legs and kind of pick the bones, so to speak, after a 15 minutes back brawl. Shenanigans. I don't know what to call it. Are you disappointed in retrospect, or you think it was the perfect starter? Because personally, I don't think they false advertised because I was satisfied what they gave us, but this is obviously going to continue. So why ring a bell when there's plenty time to build up for a more effective bell to be rang? Not for me to steal your answer or me ask a question and answer it, but I kind of did. Now to you, Richie. Sorry.
Yeah, the thing is like this match was the first match that I believe was announced for Saturday night's main event. So obviously this was like the most.
I think the girls were, but continue.
Yeah, so it's like one of the first ones, like the big like headliner, right? So with everything that was going to happen with Cody and Jacob, you kind of know, and we went over this in the preview, that some like shenanigans was going to be involved. Like I think like the bold prediction was Jacob wins, but it's like if it was a schmaz, it's like that's probably the most likely thing because it's like these guys like don't like they can't afford a loss right now. Like in my opinion, I think like I think Cody could kind of afford it, but it's like if you want to keep both strong, you know, you do the schmaz how it is. And Drew McIntyre appearing, you know, just kind of taking both of them out. Like storyline wise, I don't think makes too much sense if that like because Drew was like already like done with Cody. You know, he was like, oh, you have to start from the bottom again. So why are you getting involved in Cody and Jacob? You know what I mean? And just like he did the interview afterwards saying it's like he's just here to make a statement as WWE champion. And, you know, it's a good angle for Drew to be in because now that he's champion, now he has the target on his back. You know, and what happens when you quarter somebody like they're going to react in a way where it's like they're just going to lash out. And Cody and Jacob are the two, I guess, highest people on the pecking order on SmackDown, if you want to say that. That's not including the championship. So again, I thought the brawl was effective. I think it made Jacob look like a star. I think it gave Cody some grit, which he sorely needed. And Drew, like coming out on top, I think was the best case scenario. I don't think this is going to bode well for either Cody or Jacob winning the Rumble. If anything, I think both of them take each other out, you know, at the Rumble itself. And then you get the final two, whoever those final two are, and then they duke it out. But I do think Cody and Jacob being like final four, final five is probably going to be the like best case scenario. And I would honestly, I'd have them start 1 and 2.
Yeah, if we're gonna go up the route, yeah, maybe if it's 1 and 2, and then perhaps we get like a 99 thing where you get like Vince and Austin throughout the Rumble, and maybe it's a little bit tinged to what they did to tonight in a way, maybe so to speak, right? I'd be open to that. They haven't done that in a very long time, and then when they had done that, like 16, it was terrible with like Roman just like going away for a while and then popping back in.
Listen,
right?
Rusev's still a TV champion from that, so it's like, you know.
So yeah, I'm open for this to continue and boil over to the Rumble because I don't think Cody's winning the Rumble.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think the Rumble will probably be a Raw winner or a SmackDown winner. We don't foresee, right? But yeah, this was a success for what it was. It was a little risky, to be honest, and I think it paid out. Only advertising 4 matches and not coming through with one of them is a risk, but I think they did their thing and it totally worked, right?
Yeah. So. I think they were trying to think of the finish on who would take the fall, and they realized they can't beat both these guys, and that's when AJ and Nakamura got the call and been like, hey, we need a quality matchup here to kind of make up for it. And I think the AJ and Nakamura match might have been the longest Saturday night's main event like match that we've had since the reboot. So it's just pretty interesting.
Cena might have been a little longer. I can check when next time you're at it. I'll take a check because I'm actually curious with that point of view because that's interesting to look at too. But overall, Cody, Fatu, success. Jake, and of course, Drew inserted himself. Now, I've asked you this before, Richie. Do you feel that Drew is the one that attacked Fatu, or do you think we're going to get another person that kind of reveals himself? Because Fatu believes so,
Yeah.
But Drew was adamant that he didn't.
I really hope they don't drop this story because it's kind of like in the background now because you're focusing on Cody and Jacob and
Yeah.
Drew's like now facing off against Sammy and other potential challengers. I really think that's going to be a very important thing for Jacob going into WrestleMania. And again, I don't see Drew being the one to attack because like Drew's not a liar. That's the whole thing. He's the truth teller. Like he'll stretch the truth to morph it into his own point of view for the audience, but he never really he would admit if he attacked somebody. You know what I mean? Because it's like if he did attack Jacob Fatu, he would have won the title. He said, "By the way, I attacked him." You know what I mean? Because he already has what he wants. Because now it's like there's no point of him keeping up a charade about taking out Jacob. So I still think that is a very strong story point that needs to be more addressed. Like Jacob does believe Drew did it, but I think that's going to cost him because he's not looking at other people on the roster because of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel that he is in a good spot there, and what they did tonight worked, but I do feel that a little bit they might drop it, like you said, right? Like,
the thing is, it's like, and this is kind of context clues where it's if Jacob's so focused and dialed in on that Drew's the one who knocked out his teeth, like Jacob doesn't think Cody did it. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of like puts Cody off to the side and just being like he didn't do it, or Jacob doesn't think he did it, which I think is the right call. It's just and you saw him with the promo on SmackDown, which I think was the highlight of the entire show, was Cody and Jacob and why they're angry at each other, which is what you do in wrestling in general. Why are these two fighting? With Cody being upset that Jacob cost him the WWE Championship, and Jacob being upset that it's like, hey, it's like this had nothing to do with you, but you wanted to play hero, and that cost you. Drew was gonna win anyway, and
I like that point of view from Jacob. Right? It's direct and to the point.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those where it's the shades of gray story that I really do like, that little nuance where it's like you could see the point of views of both guys. Like both of them have their pros and cons when it comes to their outlook, and both of them aren't really lying, which I think is like a very strong thing. And also, again, it's elevating Jacob to another level. If you saw his attire tonight, completely different presentation, at least a little bit of change.
That.
Yeah, which is like very it's gonna
like
bring
Umaga mixed with like Rikishi head shrinker.
Yeah, which I think is gonna be beneficial because I know a lot of people feel a certain type of way of people wrestling in t-shirts. Hi, Kevin. But again, it's one of those things where it's going to make him more like a top guy.
It looks like he got into that top guy shape a little bit too, right? So
I mean, he was out for a month or two, I think.
2 months at least,
like 2-3 months, so it's like he had time, he had time. And I think with like performances like this and what we're probably going to see him at the Rumble I wouldn't even be surprised if he's like the Iron Man if he starts out 1 and 2 or it's just like the first one in. And I think that's going to be a very good position for him to be in.
Yeah. All right, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, success, even though no bell rang, so to speak. Definitely a success on the night, and it adds the fuel to the fire that where their story is going to and building to again. And I don't know if a match would have damaged it, but I do think it was the right call to not ring a bell, so to speak. I do want to harp in that, even though it was a little false advertisement, but in a way it wasn't. All right, Rhea and Io defeats the Judgment Day of Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez in a tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, 13 minutes and 25 seconds. Sleeper match of the night so far, Richie. Not so far in general, because I feel that Nakamura and AJ outkicked what they got to, and we'll get to that. And the main event was very good. But this one is going to be underappreciated, in my opinion. It's a classic tag team match with a winner not really in doubt. I felt that Liv and Rhea were going to win just because of how the Judgment Day story was going, where all 3 entities of the Judgment Day are going for titles. Finn lost. Of course, Liv and Raquel were going to lose to play into that story. And then in this match, you saw Raquel interfere in favor of the Judgment Day girls, which brought back Fekir. Perhaps we get that at the Rumble or a big Monday Night Raw. And obviously they're building to all Judgment Day people going for titles and losing. This was the middle part of that, and that's pretty much why I didn't think we were going to get a winner from the Judgment Day. But overall, with that being said, no real suspense on who's actually going to win. But I feel like these girls went out there in ring, had a classic tag team match, not including gender, like no gender specific like bullshit.
Yeah.
I felt like this was classic tag team wrestling, and it fucking worked, Richie. I was wicked into it, and I thought they outkicked their coverage, and I thought it was borderline great in a way. Very good. 3.5, maybe 3 3/4. It was pretty good.
You know, I feel like I'm proven right whenever Rio delivers in tag team action, because again, a lot of people, they want Rhea and Io to be single stars, and they do have a lot of fan bases in that regard. That it's like, yeah, why aren't they going for the world title? But it's like, if you think about it, them going for the tag titles is reinventing kind of like the tag division for the women. And you could see that through last year. And they actually weren't like a thrown together tag team. There was actually a story that built up kind of accidentally last year when Io defeated Rhea for the world championship. And I think because people got attached to the story and their friendship, and we all know that WWE likes the tag teams where it's like, you have a fan base, you have a fan base. Let's make this ultimate fan base. You know, Mega Powers, Rock and Sock. You know, and I don't think we really had that for the women, at least when the tag team championships were developed, where it's like you had these two massive stars that were getting incredible pops, and then they were put together. And now it's like one of those things where WWE is just going to be like, oh, we could actually focus on this without actually turning it into like, hey, let them fight each other. Like, we still probably might get that because, you know, there's that untold story with Rhea unable to defeat Io. But I really think that the dynamic is very healthy for the tag division at large. And plus, it's like you have a lot of tag teams to work off of. And with the Judgment Day and who we saw pinned, I think that's going to enforce the idea that Liv Morgan is going to be a big contender on winning the Royal Rumble this year. Because it's kind of similar to Jay in a way, where he lost the weekend before and then he came back and bounced back and won the Rumble. I found it interesting that Liv got pinned here. And because usually it's like you would think that Roxanne would be the person to get pinned because, you know, that protects Liv. But if Liv gets pinned here, then it seems like she'll bounce back for the Rumble, which would kind of like counteract the Judgment Day storyline and continue that Raquel, Stephanie kind of like intrigue. If Raquel can defeat Stephanie, we could have Raquel versus Liv. And then, you know, you have that. And Stephanie's world title run hasn't really gotten out of first gear a little bit. Some of it's like, you know, the writing, some of it's like her being injured.
It's typical women's story, typical women's champion that doesn't really.
It's always point A to point B with no like deviations from the formula. And I feel like
really,
yeah, you know, and I feel like everyone's in like a very good position, but I think this is more important in seeing that I think Liv is going to win the Rumble just because of she took the pin here. And I think that is kind of like foretelling like, hey, she's going to bounce back for the Rumble. And it makes sense that you want to have that conflict within the Judgment Day of Raquel going for the world title, but now Liv's the number one contender. So what's going to happen here?
So let's go down a rabbit hole with your theory of Liv winning. So it would be an accelerated path to the journey of the Judgment Day that I talked about, where they all go for championships and come up short. And that would mean that this Monday night on Raw, or probably at the Royal Rumble, perhaps, we're going to get Raquel versus Stephanie. And then you could maybe do that before the Women's Royal Rumble. Then you could show a segment where Liv Morgan literally just says, we all failed, and I failed because I had Roxanne Perez at my hip, right? And he had a fracture there thing, and she's going to go out and prove it and win the Royal Rumble and perhaps even eliminates Roxanne on that journey to even add more of a fraction. That seems, Richie, like too quick as we're running out of hours on TV with the Judgment Day leading into there. I'd be surprised if Liv won, honestly. Yeah. I see where you're coming from, but I would be a little bit surprised more that I kind of let that marinate on my thoughts, really.
I think you could do it in a couple different directions. Like with Stephanie and Raquel, they're going to have a collision course. I don't see them wrestling at the Rumble. If anything, I see them wrestling probably the Raw after the Rumble, because I know they like doing big championship matches after PLEs. And, you know, you could do like that sort of tension right there. And then you have like Liv, celebrate her Rumble win, and then you do a segment where it's like, oh, Raquel could win here, and then we could get this world title match, and then Liv Roxanne accidentally like interfere that costs Raquel, and then you have Stephanie going into the chamber, and then you could still play with that dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. Where are you at with the Judgment Day? I feel that I like what they're doing. I really like where Finn was at on Raw. I feel like he might be the breakthrough babyface. You always heard those rumors in 2024. 2025 is the year of Finn Balor.
Year of Finn single push. Yeah, no, well, you're
Could be
delayed.
2026. That match was phenomenal. I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but
I really like
match with Finn was excellent, Richie.
I really like the ankle pick into the GTS finish. I really enjoyed that.
And it just shows how good of a big wrestler Finn is. That match made me think of the SummerSlam 23 match with Seth, just where the match rose like the match kept rising and rising, and then Finn kept coming and got more compelling and even made you buy in more. And Finn's urgency is really there. Underrated match in Finn Balor's career, those two world title matches.
Yeah, it was a good soft reboot for Finn Balor, and I really think even though it's not going to be world title, I think Finn's probably going to be the Intercontinental Champion by the time we get to WrestleMania, and because his
it needs to be like a U.S. thing. He can't be one of these champions that don't challenge it. He needs to be the face of Monday Night Raw, challenging that thing, Monday Night Raw mid card, so to speak. Right?
Yeah, because it's like Dom's coming back, and it's like we're gonna get like infighting within Judgment Day one way or another, and if again, whether you like WWE Unreal or not, like they did have on the whiteboard that they planned the Demon versus Dom at SummerSlam for last year. Whether you believe that was the case or not, or like that was just an idea that was being thrown around, and we even saw on television the tension between Dom and Finn. So it's like they were building up to something. It's just delaying it until we finally get to that point. And I feel like Finn Balor, I feel like Finn Balor versus Dom at WrestleMania would be it's a good match to have on that show, considering that the story is there. How we got there was a little bit of a whirly bird way, but I feel like now that Finn has that babyface momentum on his side, then you could give him a proper run with the Intercontinental Championship, and Dom losing at WrestleMania after claiming that he's like the champion of champions, king of the luchadors, and then you have Finn in there to humble him, and then that's what you get. And I think that will be a good direction with Finn. And with Liv, her winning the Rumble, I think is like I think it's a safe pick. Like you have a lot of like safe picks. I think Liv is like a very safe, like solid pick.
I can see that, unless they want to return Bianca, right? I think those are
yeah.
I don't know if I really don't know if they go with Rhea. I really don't. She's always has to be in the discussion for winners. But perhaps we preview that match and get in and see that when that time's come. But on this night in this show, kudos to the Judgment Day girls and Rhea and Io. Classic tag team match. Very, very good. Again, very, very good.
Right.
All right, Richie, we're kind of humming here, but that's what this match was. This card was. It's just they just moved along. I couldn't believe that brawl was 25 minutes when it was over. Just how quick and intense and interesting it was. And the same with this match too. We were at about 10 minutes before the hour, and then we got the Nakamura and Sammy, or the Nakamura and AJ. I don't want to say video package because this is not a feud. We didn't even preview this match here on the NoSo. Me and Rossi planned on doing a match on the NoSo, but then I texted him halfway through SmackDown. I was like, bro, I'm not getting out of bed for that. He's like, I'm like, sorry, buddy. And he's like, no, we're good. We're totally good. What the hell would we have talked about? Like, what are we going to go over the rich history?
Yeah.
WWE, the history is kind of looked down upon as 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? It's good, but it should have been much more, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with Saturday Night's Main Event, they do like to do the nostalgia thing sometimes, and like some matches
that,
this plays into that with that. And I'm just like, when I saw the match, and I think I messaged you about it. I'm just like, oh, AJ's going to SmackDown, and I think I'm like, it's probably a segment or a match because this is the 10-year anniversary of AJ debuting in WWE.
Who did we guess? We didn't. I don't think we guessed Nakamura.
No, my guesses were Carmelo or Ilya.
Yeah, I did. I was like dream match, and I don't even know what I said. I don't even recall what I said, but yeah, neither of us had Nakamura, but I'm kind of glad they did. Now, AJ mentioned on Twitter beforehand that he had Royal Rumble gear made that he planned on wearing tonight.
Mhm.
So he was Lucha AJ in his entrance,
Mhm.
and I was out during the entrance of AJ,
Mhm.
like in the kitchen or whatever. What were they saying? Do you recall what they were saying about that mask?
They were discussing the like historical feud with AJ and Nakamura, where it's like the first time AJ wore a mask was against the Nakamura match at New Japan Pro Wrestling, where they fought for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, where they didn't name drop all of that, which
I did
was
hear that. Yeah.
like kind of surprising, but it's like yeah, I don't think AJ has worn it on TV that often, but it's like it is fitting because the first time he's wearing a mask is against Nakamura, and the last time he might be wearing a mask is against Nakamura. So it's a nice little bookend to that series. And my hope for this was they surpassed whatever they did in 2018, which wasn't going to be that difficult. But again, it's 8 years later from that, and
Stylistically,
yeah.
this was not a 2018 WWE style match where
Mhm.
it was prolonged and you had your outside of the ring spots. This was a technical in-ring match where they went out there and had a New Japan Light style match. I thought it was excellent, Richie, right? For what it
Yeah.
was. I really want to rewatch it so I can get the nuances of it, so I can be fully invested
Mhm.
and knowing the finish and like building up to it and everything. But overall, I think what they tried to aim for, they cleared it. And I thought this was
Yeah.
borderline great for what it was. Now, Richie, my question to you is,
Mhm.
was Nakamura's gear his WrestleMania gear?
I believe so. I have
I
to check
believe so
because
too. I meant
like
to look it up.
because the armband I think at WrestleMania he wore was gold, and I think this was the same.
Yeah. And then
I
the plants were very basic, but they were
yeah.
like nice, nice fire injury, shiny red, right? I think that's the gear. Something.
Yeah.
Richie, what do you have in this match? I'll look it up.
Yeah. For the match in general, I really did like the work in the body part with AJ, going for the knee, Nakamura trying to take advantage of AJ kind of like not being fully focused because he's putting his career on the line. Everything's kind of fast forward, and I think a lot of people, at least with this matchup, sees it as what people saw the John Cena versus AJ matchup from last year, where people were saying it's like, oh, that's gonna be it for AJ. That's his last, like one of his rivals. They had a classic match, and then he's gonna ride off into the sunset next week. So, in my opinion, like very strong, no pun intended match, and I really did enjoy the counters, the quick counters, the strikes, and it really was like not like a coming out party for Nakamura, but we haven't seen this Nakamura in a while. When I saw him take off, the jacket, he's not wearing, the jumpsuit. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be this is focused Nakamura. He's not there. He's not surfing. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like he got the call and he was just like, all right, let's do this. Fuck it,
I'm
right?
just like oh, I'm like this is Nakamura that I wanted to see in 2017, 2018. But yeah, it's one of those where I'm glad that this match didn't surround around Nakamura kicking AJ in the balls. So I'm very thankful for that. But again, it was just one of those things where Nakamura is a safe opponent in the terms of giving AJ a victory going into the Rumble, and because Nakamura is not really doing anything. But this is probably Nakamura's best match in I don't know how long.
Maybe one of the Seth matches, maybe one of the Cody
Yeah,
matches.
yeah, like I'd probably put it past Cody, probably on par with one of the Seth matches
Yeah.
because I think that was my first pay-per-view post show with you was the Fastlane one.
Was that the no DQ one?
That was the
Or
last man standing.
same thing in a way.
Mhm.
Right. But yeah, 28. Here's the thing. The 2018 feud wasn't really that bad. It's funny because the SmackDown match that Nakamura won to prolong it to get a title shot at Money in the Bank was their
Mhm.
best match outside of the last man standing match, right?
Yeah.
But it ended in like ended in a DQ match to build to the last man standing. I felt that the last man standing match was pretty acceptable and very good, right? But
Yeah.
it's like last man standing match. Like they are
It's one of those
they're
where
hit
it's
or miss.
like
They are what they are. They're
I
trophy
mean,
anyway.
it's one of those where it's like the stipulation didn't fit the match style that you wanted to see out of those two.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good
Where
that's a really good way of it.
where it's like remember when Seth and Moxley or Seth and Ambrose were doing the TLC match and they had a classic like barn burner when it's like, no, we wanted to see like a like a ladder match or a TLC match, and then you had like another one where, oh gosh, I just remembered like one match. I remember I'm like, oh, why are they doing that match? It's like the stipulation didn't fit the style that you wanted to see, and I feel like again, simplicity is best when you have these two workers, where it's like just throw them out there, have them like give them a canvas, and let's see what happens. And I think it really did. It did a lot for Shinsuke. It did a lot for AJ because again, just because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, AJ isn't washed. It's like he still performs good, but it's like he's going out legitimately the best way he can,
Yeah.
and I think he's in like a better shape in terms of like with Cena, where Cena, it's like you could tell like he was pretty limited. With AJ, you don't really get that sense. Like he omitted a lot of his like TNA moveset, like the Fallsbury flop and the spiral tap, but other than that, it's like he's pretty much the same wrestler.
He's still very fluid. He moves really well, and I don't know if he's going to retire, Richie. I really, really don't.
No, yeah, that's the
Regardless,
thing.
I hope
Yeah.
this rejuvenizes Nakamura in a way too. We can get to AJ in a point, but Nakamura, I want to make a point too as well. Not that he has like a shitload of equity, but I feel like he's a guy that Triple H would want to get behind and use more frequently in a more effective way.
They took the photo, They took the photo. Triple H, arm around Shinsuke and AJ. And I read this fact. You can like check it if you want. Apparently, like Shinsuke and AJ were the last two people in Triple H's final match because it was a 6-man. Like I think it was a house show.
Well, wasn't Randy his official match, or is not this is not including a house show match?
Like Randy was the last televised.
Okay,
match.
That's what it was. Gotcha.
Yeah, like that, like because I think that was the Saudi pay-per-view match.
So it wasn't Jinder?
No, it wasn't Jinder.
Remember Triple H had that Jinder match?
No, he did. Yeah, because it was the the tour of India. That's why we gotta build up Jinder, brother.
But regardless, Richie, I did look, by the way. Cena Gunther was about 2 minutes longer than this match. This match was 21 minutes and 40 seconds. So moved pretty well.
Yeah.
It was fluid. I think they definitely outkicked what they tried to do.
And especially the reaction Nakamura got for not being in anything major for a couple of years now.
And being flat too, right?
Yeah. So it's like it's pretty impressive for what AJ and Shinsuke and what people think of them as performers, where they're getting that type of reaction, even though we haven't seen Shinsuke and in that position in a long time.
Yep, good shit though. Like New Japan style to an extent. A lot of inside the ropes in ring action that was fluid and just fucking worked. It wasn't a tropey WWE match. So I'm glad that those guys were able, I don't want to say redeem themselves, but to kind of add this to their resume within the WWE. It was a match we're going to look back fondly upon. Now, my question to you, I only want a yes or no answer, and then we can indulge in it. Yes or no? Is AJ Styles done in a week?
No.
Okay. Indulge. Continue. Why? You think it's just a story? You think now? Here's my thing. The percent of him being done is growing with the way that they're building towards the Gunther match, like adding this. Maybe we get a Raw match. If we get a Raw match with Punk on Monday, I'll be like, it's over.
Yeah,
it's done.
That's the thing.
He's done.
Yeah, that's the thing because with this series of matches, and AJ even said he doesn't want anybody to know when his last match is. And with talk about like him like wanting to go to TNA and possibly having a match there too, like taking those context clues out of there and just focusing on the story. I think what you do here is you kind of play towards Gunther's ego a little bit because Gunther tapped to AJ, so AJ doesn't look weak in that moment, in my opinion. Silly, yes, because the ref has to call for the bell, but with AJ. I think he squeaks out a win here by pulling the same kind of shenanigans that Gunther did, and Gunther will just claim that like now Gunther's the one who wants to chase after AJ, and then you could kind of do the thing where it's like it doesn't need to be for AJ's career, but you can have AJ squeak out a win without harming Gunther in that degree.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. I got to see the how because we're about a month out from Gunther defeating John Cena, and then he's going to be in another retirement match. We're going to make that his gimmick, which I'm all for. The legend career killer. I like it. I dig it. But he's going to lose one, even though I guess it's building to something bigger. I get it.
Honestly,
But
what you could do,
perception wise, Richie, I don't know if I love that. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, like you could do something like the if you remember Rumble 01, the Triple H Austin spot, where Triple H just like bloodies Austin before he even gets into the Rumble.
Yep.
Like you can do something similar to that because we saw Gunther doing that kind of thing, and plus, like another thing, if Gunther does win, it would give him heat in terms of it's like, oh, this is the last year of AJ Styles, and he ends the career of AJ Styles just before like we're out of the races for the year. So that would be pretty fun. But like again, the how is definitely the most important part because you want to keep Gunther looking strong. But at the same time, you have Gunther who is already looking at the Royal Rumble match itself. So him getting 2 losses back to back doesn't really seem like it could like be favorable. But what you could do is like AJ squeaks out a win, then Gunther just beats him down, bloodies him, and then Pierce takes him out of the Rumble. So that kind of protects him in that regard. To a certain, so it's like Gunther still leaves with his heat, but AJ's career is still kind of intact. Or you could even do like AJ's about to win, and then Gunther just disqualifies himself because he like again there are ways to get out of it to not harm Gunther's positioning. And I feel like that's the most important thing. And that's the tricky thing with Gunther right now is if you don't want him in a championship match, you're going to have him in a serious kind of matchup. And what do you do from there? It could be like, is it Jericho? Is it Brock? Is it AJ? There are some options here.
Kit Wilson.
Great theme, dueling themes.
It's an acceptable theme. I don't know.
Yeah, with Gunther, it's going to be interesting to see how this match plays out. Again, I'm not fully convinced that AJ is like done on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm willing to go 50-50, Richie.
Like I think I texted you, like you asked me the percentage. I said like 45. I think.
Yeah, I think it's growing. It's starting to look like that. All right, so if he's done, Richie. It's his last match or his last WWE match? Does he go to TNA? Does he go to New Japan? Or does he even go to AEW?
Like I could see him going to probably see him going to TNA because I know he said he wants that. And he said he wants to continue working with WWE after he's done.
I don't think he'll go to AEW.
No, I know a lot of people want to see him in AEW. I know a lot of people like Kenny and Will want to have matches against him. But I'm not sure if AJ's.
You want to have a Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay match, though. Does AJ want that? Like,
the thing is, it's like I'm not sure, and AJ can still go, but can he go at that? Like,
want to go at that level, though?
Yeah, and especially because, like Ospreay, we're not sure his timetable. Kenny's just kind of coming off of, the like recovery of diverticulitis surgery. So, again, maybe they can have that match, but I just don't see AJ going to AEW when he's been open and honest that he wants to stay with WWE, maybe in a behind the scenes aspect.
I am curious what his next is, like behind the scenes. Is he a producer? What is he like? What does he do? Right. So he has a great mind. So I assume that would fit, but is he like too big of a name to do that in a way? Right.
I think
you look at the producers, you get Ken Doane, Petey Williams, even Robert Roode, like,
I think like maybe a Sean role in NXT,
okay,
like maybe like how Sean is in NXT. AJ could be
maybe
like
he
that
starts
for
with like how Triple H is, or Undertaker's at AAA. Maybe AJ oversees Evolve. Maybe
something similar like that, where it's like he's just trying to make that transition from the independents to WWE easier because he's probably the most notable talent that wasn't signed to WWE that made it and then made that quick transition into a top star.
True. Is he a liaison with TNA? Like, does he, what I mean? Is he the guy to go with? Is he like get a Borash type of thing, right? So yeah, it's not a bad idea. All right, Richie, kudos to these guys. I think it was a success for them. All right, there were 8 names shown for the Men's Royal Rumble. Can you name them?
Let's see. Jacob, Cody, Roman, Uh, gosh, like those were like the first like couple that I saw. Jay, uh,
Phone a friend.
Solo.
5. Yep.
Let's see who else. Who else declared for the Rumble?
Was it 6 or 8? Because I know they had 2, and did they have 2 on each side, or
They had
have
two.
2?
They had two in each side. I think they
So we're missing
filled.
3. I'll give you 1 was Dragon Lee.
No, oh yeah, Dragon Lee, Penta, and Ray. Yeah,
Penta and Ray. That's what it was.
yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
was. All right.
yeah. Because they declared in during the commercial.
Yes, and I was
Yeah.
like, Dragon Lee.
But
And I recall seeing Penta too. Yes, yeah.
yeah. Well, because I'm just saying, like, maybe we'll see Penta again be the Iron Man this year. He's still over.
Yeah, it worked. It works.
Also gave us a good 10-second team between Roman and Penta. If you remember that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a peak for me. I'm like, oh, Roman's helping people. And Penta.
Who else did he had a spot with Joe Henry. He touched a lot of people last year.
Yeah, he also had the Braun interaction. That could be the fun.
Yeah. So he hasn't been. He wasn't in a Rumble for since what, 2020.
Who Roman?
Yeah. So it's just like he didn't really interact with a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty fun. I like how he declared in the video package. I wish I could do that. People just declare now for the Rumble. It's no qualifying. You declare.
It's been like that for years. I was hoping we got a treadmill video, but no, we just get a video package.
Oh yeah, the by the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those by the number videos.
All right, Richie, your main event: Sami Zayn defeats Randy Orton, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest in a fatal 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble, 17 minutes flat. I don't think this was particularly like SummerSlam 2017 4-way, but I would say it was about 40% of that. I expected a bigger reaction from Lee. Unfortunately for him, I feel like Randy kind of cucked him a little bit from that aspect. I feel like Randy's pop was bigger. Trick felt like all of the star that he projected to be, and Damian Priest was just there. I think that they did him justice, saying, "Oh, he has 7 stitches in his mouth and his lip, and so on and so forth." But Priest should be in this match, of course. Priest qualified for this match over Solo was the right answer for sure. But I don't want to go on a tangent about Damian Priest, but what is Damian Priest? You know what I mean? Like is he that mid-card gatekeeper? Because before he was like a upper mid-card, but I don't know. Let's start with Priest. And where are you at with Damian Priest? Like, he won 2 feuds last year, one against the world champion at the time right now. So
well, that's the thing. It's like he won the feuds, but the people who lost came out better for it to some degree. Like, we're still waiting on Alistair, but like with Priest, the only time where it's like it seems like the crowd is really behind Priest is when he's teaming with Rhea, because I think people like the dynamic of the Terror Twins. But with Priest, it's just like him as a character. You're still trying to figure out who he is as a babyface, and I think he could work. Like, he showed in NXT when he was doing the kind of like the after club, like lady man gimmick, like in NXT, like it was working. It was over. But I feel like they're kind of neutering him to a certain degree because they're not giving him scenarios where he could like be strong in. And I feel like with some promos, and you could see it during his world title run, that like it was, I don't want to say try hard, but it was just kind of like something was missing. And I feel like that we still have that with Damian Priest as a babyface. Now, do I think he would work as a heel? Yeah, but it's like you're kind of like going in a circle at this point. Like, I feel like that would kind of be a whatchamacallit. That's a oh god, what's the word where it's got to be one place and then you're at the same place. It's going to be a linear kind of like pathway there. Yeah. So it's like, because if he's a heel, then he's like working with the baby faces. I don't see him defeating any of the baby faces. You know what I mean?
So with Priest, what likable trait does Rhea bring out of him? And then can he bring that likable charisma that translates then to the screen more often when she's not around?
He's more relaxed. He's more relaxed when he's teaming with Rhea. Yeah. And I feel like that's like a big thing. And also, he has been going through some injuries. Like he was outspoken. Like I think he had like something like 70 some odd matches in 2024, and then 2025 he had like 30 something.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure he's okay, and that has slowed him down a little bit. But I think just like personality wise, like again, he has personality, and I've seen the personality in these different stories. But I feel like again, he's not like I feel like he's not relaxed as a baby face. Like he's kind of like walking on eggshells a little bit. And even though he has the ability to be likable, it's just you're having all these different people around him that are doing what he can do that what he's showing like 10 times better.
Yeah. It just feels like if it was like 1995 where that top roster was bleak,
Yeah.
or like 2000 or 2000 like 13, 12 where the like of that era where the main event scene is dry. Shit, 2010, like that timetable, he would break through
Yeah.
and be that Batista type of guy, right?
Like
But
he's
here,
definitely in that Diesel position if Diesel would have stayed in
yeah.
WWF.
So I don't mind Priest. I'm just curious where he's at. All right, Trick. Trick has all the charisma in the world. He has all. He's
Yeah.
still in that establishment phase. Right?
Let me ask you this: do you
Phase.
think he's over, or do you think his team's over?
No, I think he's over because he got a reaction when the bell rang. Him leaving, there was still a reaction, even though it was cheap heat.
Yeah.
But I feel that he's over, but like maybe the pacing of him within this match is still from an introduction standpoint, like similar to Mello being the first round draft pick. And Mello, I don't want to say taking a back seat for a little while, but really slow cooking him. You're doing that a little bit in the way with Trick now, but at a much higher level in a more accelerating way. Like they're really harping on who Trick Williams is so that investment can lie, so that charisma can play up to what it can be, eventually, so to speak, right? I feel that Trick is in a great spot. I don't feel that he is down or whatever.
I think Trick is in the perfect position right now. Like I think how he's been portrayed on the main roster since he arrived has been perfect. Like you have him interacting with all these different stars. Like look into the people that he interacted with on SmackDown. You had Cody, Sammy, Randy, Damian. You had Ray Phoenix. You had Matt Cardona. You have all these different guys. And Trick has kind of become like a main character of the SmackDown brand in such a short amount of time. And I think that's towards his benefit of getting that upward trajectory. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a world championship before Oba or any of the other NXT call-ups, or even like a Braun Breaker potentially. Now that's more of a long shot, but I think like Trick is in that position where WWE sees him as a star, because if you remember, he's had main roster shots before. Like he was on Raw as North American champion. He was on Raw during commercial break as the TNA world champion. He saved Mello that one time on SmackDown when Mello was getting an exhibition. So they hold Trick in really high regard. And I feel
his
like
upside's phenomenal.
Yeah. And like his work, like character work last year alone, when he was the TNA champion, I think just proves that he can like really like have ownership of a, like not only just a brand, but as a personality as well. And I think with Trick, he is in a position where he doesn't need to be protected as much as an Oba or a Javon. And he could take losses because one, he's a heel, and two, he's not the type of heel that's going to dominate everything, because it's like believable when he's in that ring that he's going to get a reaction. Like when he pulled out the referee tonight, reaction. When he bailed in the ring, reaction. So it's like he's got this down pat.
Well, they're setting up for the reactions, but he's living up to it as well. Like he's playing into the shine that they're presenting him, right?
Yeah, so, and he's confident. That's the other thing. He's confident. His character's confident, and he doesn't look out of place. And I think that's the best thing for him, is that he doesn't look out of place in this match. And he is adding his own flair in a good way, where you could be like, okay, he can actually like perform up to that level.
Yeah, no doubt. I think his future is bright, for sure. All right, Randy Orton. Do you think that he was a bigger star tonight than hometown boy Sami Zayn?
Well, I mean, with Randy, it's like it's going to come with the territory. He's going to get that. I always call that post like Attitude Era Triple H pop, where it's like, oh, Triple H is the only one left from the Attitude Era, so he's gonna get a pop regardless. Randy's in that like sector, that Undertaker sector, where people are gonna pop for him. Like, come on, it's like it's kind of like the John Cena heel thing, where it's like people are gonna pop for John, people are gonna pop for Randy. Like, he has like the ultimate staying power. He is like 20 plus years in WWE, so he's gonna get a favorable reaction because he's been on top for so long, and people are ready for a Randy Orton main event run. But it's like we all know that at times, there's more time behind him than there is in front of him. So a lot of people want to see him in that main event picture, and I think they just want to see, the RKO, all his signature spots, which we saw here tonight, and then they're going to be satisfied. And that's what makes Randy Orton a great professional wrestler, is like he could do the absolute bare minimum, and people are still going to react and go crazy for him.
Yeah, I just think it was a little risky to put him in here with Sammy, just to not be to be the home run guy from the fan standpoint, even though he's in hometowns back-to-back weeks, pretty much, right? So he's in a phenomenal spot, but why not? Why draw? Because you only have so much energy to cheer, right? So to throw Sammy out there right after Orton, maybe the guy isn't going to go to 12 when he cheers for Sami Zayn because he's a little fatigued, is what I'm kind of saying.
I mean, I think they did a good job just portraying, you had a couple of Sammy Randy face-offs, and you had a nice little mini match. And I think they had like a really, really good qualifying match last year when they were in King of the Ring together.
Yeah.
But I think they were very smart in that they didn't like face off too much, where it's like it hindered Sammy's popularity. And I think the spots that they did were believable. You had Sammy doing the counter with the Orton like backdrop spot on the table. You had the setup for the Huluva kick into the RKO. And again, at the end, you have Randy almost like getting there to break up the pin, but he just wasn't quite there. So maybe there's a story there, maybe there's not. But it's like Randy was definitely like, he wasn't weak in that moment. Like, it was all about trying to build Sammy. And I think they did a admirable job of doing it, because again, it's a 1 week build for the Drew McIntyre match.
Yeah, 17 minutes is enough here, right? Because they weren't going to go out there and have that chaotic match. They're only going to really get to six or seven, so to speak, in a way, right? I feel that. Oh, I didn't even do that for us. I didn't do it. Oh, I lose cool points, man. What the fuck?
Come on, man. That's why I bring the young demo here.
Yeah, I have nephews, so I should have fucking thought of that. Damn it. Now I'm just not as cool as I once was.
Are we ever cool?
Viewership's plummeting now. Fuck. All right. Richie, I don't know. I feel like that match just like never got to the 7th, 8th gear that it attended to, right? So
yeah, I feel like it's one of those matches that didn't need to go that gear if you're WWE, because again,
in a way, yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to say without saying it.
Yeah, because it's like everyone's like, you're trying to protect everyone before the Rumble. It's most likely we're going to see Randy, Priest, and Trick in the Rumble match itself. And again, you want to have Sammy like be in pretty good condition going into his Rumble match. So it's like you don't want to do anything too risky. And I think that, we're getting Sammy and Drew, and like, again, this match served its purpose. Like, had great stakes, winner gets a title shot, and that's always going to get people's eye and attention towards it.
Yep. All right, so I'm looking forward to Sammy versus Drew. Now they're going to play into the 11-0, right? Which will probably inevitably be 12-0. Mm-hmm. Yes or no, Richie? Sami Zayn has a good chance to defeat Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble.
I think he has a chance. He just doesn't have a good one.
I wanted prefaces with saying good.
Yeah.
Right. Now, percentage-wise, 25 too heavy, not enough. What?
I'd go with the 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like,
I would feel that's a little high. I would be shocked.
Yeah, because it's like, if Sammy hypothetically does win against Drew, I think he drops it almost immediately back to Drew. Give him like that Foley run where it's like, hey, you finally did it, and then just take it away. Because then again, it's all about it's all about the chase, and it's all about Drew getting that title. And I feel like a lot of people want Drew to have a somewhat lengthy reign, even though I'm kind of skeptical of him walking into WrestleMania as WWE champion.
Yeah.
It just kind of like Sammy as champion would be fun, and doing it like having a match in Montreal and then having it at Saudi Arabia where he's revered is like a cool like 1-2 punch. But after Sammy wins the title, then what?
Yeah. I just
You know
feel
what
like,
I mean?
yeah, I'd still be shocked. I just feel like I expected a little bit more from the crowd with Sammy tonight. I thought we'd get a
I
little
think
bit more.
I think it's like again because he was on the show yesterday too. He was on SmackDown yesterday, so them doing the residency might have had something to do with it. So again, I'm not really sure, but yeah, Sammy's still over. I think he's always going to be in that place where it's like he'll be fine regardless. But yeah, I'm curious to see what he's going to do at the Rumble, how Drew's going to win at the Rumble, and
Yeah.
seeing how this Sami Zayn World Championship story is going to continue post Rumble.
All right, Richie, we're at the end here, buddy. I don't really want to go past an hour because we do have some Rumble content coming up here. I know you and I are going to be doing the Women's Rumble in the wheel gimmick, right?
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. Overall on the night, I think a strong 7.5 is a pretty good score for tonight. If you were a Montreal goer the last two nights, I can see a lane where you'd be a bit disappointed, and I can see a lane where you'd be pretty satisfied in a way too, right? So I'd be content if I was a Montreal this weekend. How about you? What would you grade this pay-per-view or this event out of 10?
Yeah, I'd say it's 7.5 is correct grade. Just because it's not a one match show. AJ and Nakamura was a great match, but you also had the tag action. You had a hot angle to start off the show that gave the show an unconventional feel where it's like not just a match, it's just like the angle. You had Drew in there. And then you had the main event, which again served its purpose. Like again, you only have so much time to build the WWE Championship match itself, and it was kind of funny. They kind of like went through that angle with Sammy just like throwing Drew over the top rope, and then the show just kind of ended. But yeah, solid show. Again, there's going to be some hidden gems in here with the tag and the AJ Nakamura match.
Good middle. That's where Saturday Night's Main Event has struggled before, is the middle, and we got some good middle tonight.
Yeah, so it's like for the past couple of Saturday Night's Main Events, I think it's 2 for 2, with the Cena retirement and this one.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we had a pretty good crowd tonight. Not much comments, but we had fucking 7-8 guys here throughout. So thank you to all you guys. Thank you for the audio listeners. Plenty of Royal Rumble content coming up here on the NoSo. We have a NoSo draft. Greatest Royal Rumble matches of all time, the actual matches. And does the greatest Royal Rumble get drafted? Perhaps not. We have previews. We just hinted one, Richie, but we're going to be previewing. I'll be previewing with the probably wrong guys, probably the Sammy match. And then I'll be doing the Gunther match. We're doing the wheels for the men's and the Rumble. We'll have a post show for the Rumble. We'll have Wednesday night, Justin and I are doing Mr. Royal Rumble, so tune in for that and be interactive as Justin and I go over who is Mr. Rumble. Who do you think is Mr. Rumble? Off the rip, Richie, who is the Mr. Rumble in your opinion? We're including the Rumble match, the pay-per-view single matches, other matches, title matches. When you think Royal Rumbles, what do you think of?
Probably John Cena.
Okay, interesting. We'll see where he lies. He's got the big return, 2 wins, the Umaga match, the AJ match. Perhaps there's a very
triple threat too.
Triple threat. Oh, very strong case for John, right? All-time moment too with the return. Yeah, so there's plenty, and I know Justin and Aaron on No Hold Bars just did their top matches of all time in January. So there was plenty of Rumble discussion there as well. So plenty of Rumble. It's Rumble season, Richie, now that we're out of Saturday Night's Main Event. So plenty of stuff here on the YouTube channel for the NoSo. And Richie, check you out. TikTok, Instagram, and now YouTube. YouTube Shorts you're up to. Dipping your toes in the YouTube game. We've been here for a few years. About time you pick up. All right.
Yeah, we're just about to pass 150 subscribers in a short amount of time, so we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Excellent. So plenty of Rumble content coming out, guys. Check it out. Thanks for being here live. And Richie, thank you as always, buddy.
No, thanks for having me.
See you guys.